Greetings friends and welcome to this week's episode of Ian's VR Corner, and it's a very exciting day for me today because I finally have got my hands on PRAYDOG'S UEVR mod. But what does UEVR stand for, you might be asking? Well, the UEVR mod is a universal Unreal Engine VR Injector, which has been made by the modder PRAYDOG, who you might remember I featured on this channel a couple of times thanks to his incredible Resident Evil VR mods. Now, UEVR is a free and open source tool that brings 6 degrees of freedom VR to almost every Unreal Engine 4 and 5 game. And to give you an idea of just how many games that is, this spreadsheet behind me is a list of every game tested by the UEVR testing team so far. As you can see, some of them work perfectly, some of them work well, some work poorly. Not many don't work at all though, and there is a huge amount on this list. If I keep scrolling and 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 scrolling, gets past the 600s, keeps going, gets to about 687 before I think they gave up and couldn't be bothered to update it anymore. But that is a huge amount of games here. Look, Aliens Fireteam Elite works perfectly. Third person VR. What else have we got here? Train Sim World. First person works perfectly in first person. None of these games are actually meant to be played in VR, but thanks to PRAYDOG'S Injector, they all magically work. And it's really easy. Let me demonstrate with one of my favourite games from the PlayStation 5, Returnal. So this here is the UEVR program running. It's really easy to download. I'm going to put all the links in the video description that'll bring you to the tutorials and everything. There are a lot of settings you can configure and stuff if you're like technically minded. For me, I've just been playing a lot of these games as they come and they've all worked fine. Now, we have got Returnal here in flat at the moment. It is not VR yet. As you can see when I move my head, no VR at all. What I need to do is I need to Alt-Tab. There we go. Come on. And this has brought up UEVR. What I need to do is click here and find the program that I want to inject VR into. In this case, it's Returnal. So I'm going to click on that. A lot of these games that I've played, I've just done that, click the inject button, they've become VR. But a lot of people have been already playing with this mod and they have made configs that will give you the best possible experience. There has been one made for Returnal that makes Returnal playable in first person with motion controls, which is nuts. What you need to do is you need to go to import config, and then they'll normally, you'll download it. It'll be here, downloaded here. So you just go to open, and then that is it. Now, if I go to inject, it'll have a little think. It'll change around a bit. My Quest is on, and here we go. See how easy that was. This overlay that you can see here, I can see in the game. This is where you can really play around with things if you want. You can make the resolution higher or lower to improve your quality. Either your visual quality by going that way or your performance by going that way. But there's loads of different inputs and debug menus and things you can play with, full of stuff I don't understand. So I'm just going to close this window by clicking in both thumbsticks. And then I'm going to continue the gameplay. And here I am in Returnal. You can see that I'm motion controlling the gun. And you can see that I'm motion controlling looking around. Now, one of the coolest things about this mod, apart from being able to play this game in VR, is spotting little details I've never noticed before. Like if I shoot my gun now, you see the way the bullets pick the leaves up on the floor. I don't think I ever noticed that before. Maybe I did notice that before, and it was just because the action was, third person and quite far away. I didn't notice it as much. But now I'm right here in the action. I can see those leaves going Look at this little gun model. This little gun model was not designed to be shown this close to someone's face, but still, it looks great. So I think you can see at the moment that top left of the screen, this game is currently running 72 frames per second, which is fine in my headset. I could probably make it run faster if I reduced the quality a bit. But I don't want to do that. Sometimes, you know, the camera placement's a bit off, and the cutscenes like that, they're flat. But in general, once you're in the game, it all works really nicely. I need to move on to the next game, but I do love Returnal. And I just want to show you a bit of the combat with the motion controls going. Let's see what I can see through here. So it's normally a secret button to open these doors. Where would that be? Okay, let's not worry about secret buttons at the moment, because I've got big, angry space dogs after me. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, this feels amazing to play in first-person VR. You'd think it would be really hard, and it is tricky, but generally, it works really nicely. Yeah, look at that. Cleared a room in Returnal in first-person VR, thanks to PRAYDOG'S UEVR mod. Mwah! Wonderful. Let's try something else. Now, I could control it with the motion controls. The motion controls have controller mapping on them. But a game like this, you don't need motion controls, so I'm just going to use the normal controller. So bring up the processors, Horizon Chase 2, click on that. So this is a pop-up that appears occasionally. It's probably beneficial to delete the VR plugins. I've never bothered. It just works anyway. Look, here you go, inject. And there you go. You've got me moving the camera with my head, and look all the way behind, all the way to the front, and then if I double click both thumbsticks, that'll get rid of the overlay, and now I'm in VR in Horizon Chase 2. So you get the depth of VR, you get an extra feeling of speed, definitely, and you get a better look at the surroundings. This game is pretty woo! It's pretty swift. It's a cool little ode to Outrun and old school games like that. And again, works perfectly in VR. No need for motion controls or anything, but if you just want to play the game in a bit more of an immersive way, rather than just playing it flat on your screen, this works great. Now, while this game is nice and fun to play in VR, it is rather basic in terms of a racing game. For instance, there's no Cockpit Cam or anything like that. So I figured I'd download and install another racing game that I have in my library that would have a Cockpit Cam. So unfortunately, I didn't have any compatible car racing games in my library of games. But I do have this racing game, which is Ride 5, a motorbike racing game, which does allow me to change camera views, so I will be able to get a sort of cockpit cam, although I'll be like right down here on the bike. Let's inject some VR into Ride 5.
It's time to ride.
It is time to ride, this time in VR. So as you can see, I've fiddled with nothing. This is just press a button and go. I am now in VR in Ride 5, controlling my bike with the controller, controlling my camera with my head, and if I press the button here, I should be able to go. There we go. Now I've got cockpit cam, kinda. I'm right down in the bike, feeling the speed of the track, and not really staying on the track very well, but here we go. You got the distant mountains in the back. Oh god, I crashed. Oh, VR ragdoll. You got the distant mountains in the background. So what's cool here is I can like look in the rear view mirrors, see if anyone's gaining on me. They're not. This is the intro. But I can see my speedometer there, nice and close. All the bits of the handlebars are there. I don't know what any of this bit's called on the bike. I'm sorry. And I can slam face first into a wall. Ah, bonk. Nice. Whoa. What a flip. I mean, this mod is great if you're a racing fan. Racing games are always cool in VR. And I presume if you've got all the steering wheels and stuff, they'll work fine as a normal controller while you're using the mod, so you can just be even more immersed in a racing game that you're playing.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Now, the gameplay behind me previously was the share screen that I was just recording from my monitor. What you can see now is footage recorded through Oculus Mirror, which is showing you exactly what I'm seeing out of my right eyeball. Robocop Rogue City also has a config for motion controls, so I'm going to load that up and inject it. Hello, Ian from the future here. Just looked back on my footage, and it turns out that Robocop Rogue City is so intensive to run that it makes Oculus Mirror stutter quite a bit in places. It's normally pretty fine in my headset during my recordings, but yeah, what you might see could be a little bit more stuttery than I was experiencing. So sorry about that. It's just a big game. It's lots for my computer to think about, I guess. Anyway, back to normal me. I am now in VR in Robocop Rogue City. These black bars here are because I'm currently in a cutscene, and I guess they try to make it look like an actual movie by adding in black bars, top and bottom. First-person motion-controlled VR. Let's get out of the crowds and shoot some enemies. And get into a safe space because I've got very low health here. 9% health. Ow. Okay, here we go. Let's just wait for my vision to come back. I get kind of scan lines when I'm damaged in this game. Yeah, here's Robocop's gun floating in front of me. Nice and easy to point and aim. Press X to reload. Get a little reload animation happening there. But now we get to get a good look at all the assets that they've made in the game. I can shoot this guy in the dick. Oh, I went flying. So look at that. You can see all his tattoos there, nice and close up. Get a good look at Robocop's character model, which is floating slightly. I guess so, he looks taller than this guy in the cutscenes. But yeah, this game is made in Unreal Engine 5. And it looks really stunning. As you can see, it's running pretty nicely. I've got a good rig. I'll put what my specs are in the description, but yeah. What an excellent way to play Robocop Rogue City. So check this out. I am now back in Robocop's precinct, back in the police station, and now this is kind of like being able to walk through the Robocop movie set, because this place has been so meticulously recreated based on scenes from the movie. It now actually feels like I am in the movie. So cool. Look at this. Police services records. Find a police report. Narcotics, second floor. That's where I need to go. Ah. He's blocked off the narcotics floor. You spoil sport. So I've shown you a couple of games in first person with motion control. I've shown you a couple of racing games. Let's now have a look at a third-person game. In this case, Mortal Shell, which is a lot of people bounce off it, but I think it's a pretty decent Dark Souls-like. Once again, as you can see, completely flat. I can't see anything in my headset. Alt-Tab, bring up the process, inject VR into it. And there we go. Instantaneous VR for Mortal Shell. Third-person games work really well in VR. I've seen a lot of other content creators saying how good Spyro is and how good Crash Bandicoot 4 is, or one of the Crash Bandicoots, whatever one you can get on PC. So yeah, I've seen footage of Little Nightmares running, which is kind of like 2.5D. I've seen that running in VR. So really, the choices of what game to play are almost limitless as long as they were built in Unreal Engine 4 or 5. Third-person games like this one can be a little bit more rough on the stomach for VR newcomers. But there are a variety of options. Step on that, yeah. There are a variety of options to help tailor your experience in the menus. Where are they? So not only can you set your standing height and recenter your view slightly if you think things are off, there is also a way to change the camera's origin. I'm not going to touch any of this, but you can make the camera higher, you can make it lower, you can bring it closer. You can even, I think, select a way to keep the horizon straight to really negate any motion sickness you might have. Anyway, Fulgrim, if you've ever played this game, you'll know how confusing it is to navigate through this world. But because I'm playing it in VR, I get a good sense of place. And it's a little bit easier to picture where I am and how this very confusing, very green-grey level kind of links together. See if I can parry. Yeah! Pardon myself there. It's been a while since I played this game. I'm a bit rusty. I did okay there. This guy absolutely leathered me when I was testing yesterday. So let's see if I can defeat him this time. Oh, there's two of them. Brilliant. Okay, well, that was a good parry for that douche. Am I going to get an extra hit when he hits me with hardened? I am. Dodge. Good dodge. Harden myself and get him. Yeah, nice. Okay, sucks to be you, big guy. Sucks to be you. Look at that, I can get right up. If I move the camera close, I can get right up to this guy. Makes the scale seem a bit too large. But this is just about right here. There's going to be a few issues here and there with like cutscenes being wonky and things just not working perfectly in VR. I mean, for a start, the lock-on icon for me floats in front of my vision rather than on an enemy. But, you know, in general... Ow. Ball bags. In general, it's completely possible to play a whole host, like an insane amount of Unreal Engine games from start to finish in VR. Flat screen Unreal Engine games that were never meant to be in VR are now in VR, thanks to this mod. Oh, wow. Look at this. I'm in Ray's Occult Bookstore in VR, in first person. I've got a little bit of a body there. If I lean back, you can see I've got some arms there, but leaning forward, you can't see any of that. There's Ray. Let's go right up close to Ray. You all right, Ray? We can have a look around at all the assets and the props again. Got a note here. What's that say? Conjuration. Assembled alchemy ingredients. Required for use to summon and conjure something or energy. See, I don't think I'd have been able to read that in flat screen. There's a salt lamp. A skull. So this is Ray's Occult Bookstore, and then if I go next door... Well, here's the alleyway. Alleyway? Here's the alleyway between buildings This is a Ghostbusters firehouse next door. I can get the height. I can look up and see the height there of the buildings. You've got all the fire escape going up there. You got the can I see the moon? Is the moon out? Oh, there's the moon. It's massive. Let's have a look inside here in the firehouse. There's Ecto 1. Look at that. The scale is great. Really good scale. Apart from the little bits of visual assets, I think that's a zip floating in front of my eyes there. It feels like this was made for VR. Hello. Oh, I can see an iPad. Look at that. There's a lot of apps you've got on there on that iPad there. So in order to use motion controls in this, I would need to, I think, import a config that has motion controls activated. I could probably make that myself if I knew what I was doing, but I don't. So I'm just going to stick with controller at the moment, but yeah. It's nice. Okay, so here we are in the actual game. I'm playing with some bots at the moment, just so I can have a look around. These guys have got their PKE meters out. So yeah, this game stutters a bit when I'm playing it. I wonder if I can fix that by reducing the resolution scale here. Let's find out. So this will decrease the quality of the graphics, but it may increase my performance slightly. Oh, that's getting towards... Come on, Glotto. In you get. There you go. Got Glotto. Oh, we busted the ghost. Was that it? We did it. Okay, so graphically things are a little bit blurry and low res in the distance now. Well, very, in my headset at least. It does seem to have improved things, the smoothness of the running, because this mod has only just been released and every game is different and every PC is different. I think it's going to take a lot of time for people to find profiles and settings that work best for them and their equipment. Like I said, you can download configs for games that inject motion controls into them already from the links that I put in the video description. I would really recommend that you join the Flat2 VR modding Discord. There is a channel in there all about this, which gives you a big list of the games, how compatible they are, troubleshooting techniques, and just in general, there's an incredible community there, all working hard to make this mod as accessible and as easy to use as possible, because that's what people who play VR want. They want a huge selection of VR games to play. People who own VR want to be able to play their back catalogue of flat games in VR. People who own VR, people who are passionate about VR, want developers to make flat and VR versions of their games. And while this isn't a development tool that could be used by a developer to port their game into VR, it is a good tool to, one, let hobbyist VRers experience their favorite VR games, their favorite flat games in VR, but also it's a great way for developers to be able to, you know, see how their game would look and play in VR to get an idea of, you know, just how special it would be before they maybe invest some cash into making a proper official VR version. So yeah, thank you so much to PRAYDOG and the mod testing team on the Flat2VR Discord, who have spent thousands of hours working on and testing games in this, you know, for this mod. There's just so much detail here to look at and inspect, and I love the fact that I'm in the Ghostbusters firehouse. It's so cool that I can do this in VR. The Shandor Mining Company, that's an Easter egg for the newest one, not the cold one that's coming, but you know what I mean. Ghostbusters Stop, Spiteful Spectre, Seaside Spectre. I mean, seriously, there is just so much potential for this mod going forward as it gets worked on and people create new profiles and things. And I cannot wait to try out more flat screen games in VR using this mod. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to end this video right now. I'm going to tell you to like and or subscribe, preferably both, for almost daily videos about video games here on Eurogamer and Ian's VR Corner episodes every Sunday. Then I'm going to remind you to go into the video description below to find all the links you need to get this mod, find the tutorials, find the flat screen to VR Discord, find the specs for my PC. And then I'm going to say, why not click on some of these other videos right now? These are other PRAYDOG mods that PRAYDOG has made in the past, before he started working on this universal UEVR Injector mod. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to download some more games from my Steam and Epic libraries, and I'm going to play them in VR.